my wiring is such that I had no other choice, but I'd either be in porn or in show, comedian. Do you know what I'm saying?
You said that with such clarity. Explain why it's that way. You know what I mean? Seriously, I've always wondered. I've never had anybody really cop to it quite like that.
Oh.
So why is it that way?
Well, I mean, the only way I got attention from, I was always compliant, right? I never had a voice growing up. So I have this incredible need to be heard and to be seen. And also that's what I got rewarded for, was being funny growing up.
And was there a moment at which I think we're going into the last segment here, was the deep dive, right?
Yeah, let's do it.
We're doing
Bang,
it. We're going to deep
bingo,
dive
bango,
into the
bongo.
comedian. It's Christina P, everybody.
Yeah.
And when you first got addicted to it, you remember the first moment when the applause or the laughter or something like?
Oh, the validate.
was.
Here's the funny. People always say that. I've heard that. Like, well, you're the high of the approval. Yes, there's that. And back in, I don't know, was it 2003 when I started? But there's also the suffering, which I really enjoy. That's really what that's the truth of it, is to stay with stand-up. To start it, you go for the approval. To stay with it through the torture of it, staying in shitty, scary motels.
Yeah.
Especially as a woman doing the road, you got to be really cray-cray looking for that approval. But yeah, I'm looking for approval. I want my mom to tell me that I'm good. I want my dad to tell me that I'm finally good. But the suffering is sublime. That's really what it's all about. The push pull.
And that's where
that's why I stay.
The goth thing came in.
Oh yeah, so dark, so dark. Oh, I was so depressed. Well, I mean, that's a normal reaction to an abnormal childhood, right?
Sure, but the goth thing is the suffering thing.
Oh yeah,
yeah. It's not just the depression. It's the making suffering a style.
Oh, it was so good too back then. Before Hot Topic, I'd really work for that too. Like go to Melrose and
some weird crosses hanging off your ears.
Yeah. Black hair, blue hair, mohawk, angry music too. Yeah, it was very angry.
Oh, gentlemen, picture. We need a picture.
I'll give you one. I'll find one somewhere.
Oh, gentlemen.
Oh, it's so angry. But I think why I like these clips so much, and what I like about the dark side, is because I don't know this is going to sound really crazy, but I don't always know why people act the way they do. I'm fascinated by humans.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
But the outlying behavior is always revelatory. You always you get revelation from seeing extreme.
Yes.
And I agree with you. People are fucking funny.
Oh, they're great.
At their worst, they're still funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And plus it helps me understand what normal behavior is, because both my parents were completely not within range of normalcy.
And so you have trouble.
Yeah. Like I used to be, this is before I was in aggressive therapy, but I would watch movies with my husband, and like somebody would be crying or have a reaction, and I would have to go, why is that person reacting that way? I don't understand what's going on emotionally.
Oh, so you're a psychopath.
No. I don't understand feelings.
No, that's what psychopaths have.
Not a psychopath.
They don't understand feelings.
That's
they have to pretend to have.
Oh, no.
They have to pretend to have feelings.
I have too many feelings. I'd say I'm very sensitive. I'm overly sensitive.
Right, but you can't track people's feelings.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
I can't always go like, well, why? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I like the weird stuff, because I'm like, oh, that's definitely abnormal. I know that. And I get amused by it. It's also a form of like, I don't know. I'm laughing at my mother too. And that's how I got back at her as a kid, because I couldn't fight her because she was an adult, but I could,
it seems very adaptive.
Get one over on her.
Yeah, that seems really adaptive, because you can't fight with somebody like that. You can't. But they can be quite entertaining and quite funny, if they weren't being abusive, right?
Yeah.
And so it kind of keeps them at a distance.
Oh, yeah. And I could mock her. I could do her accent perfectly and talk some shit,
Let's hear the accent.
Okay, what would you like me to say? She was always getting into fights with like wait staff. Like if we get seated at a restaurant, this motherfucker sat me next to the toilet. I'm not a fucking piece of shit, you stupid bitch. Like that kind of... She was always starting fights, like you said. Like
sure,
always
she's borderline, not a sociopath?
No, she became... schizophrenic later in life. She lost touch with reality. Paranoia, and then she became a shut-in. And then by the time,
stuff.
She just was completely detached. Hungarian.
Sounds
so
Russian.
Trauma. Oh yeah. But the trauma, and both my parents had so much trauma just from growing up in a communist country.
Yeah.
that they had no hope. Like it was hope to have a kid. Oh my God.
With the only child?
Yeah. That's what made it even worse.
Yes. Yeah. People are, don't you want to be the only child? Like, no, when you have crazy parents. you get it all then.
That's the problem. So I spent a lot of time hiding.
But your dad seemed like hiding who you were?
Hiding who I was and physically hiding. I spent a lot of time alone, listening to records, watching American television, like learning what
American
normal
television.
Like, well, because my parents are Hungarians, so like that's how I learned English, and I learned how Americans acted.
Wait, I'm confused. When were you not born here?
I was born in Canada, but they escaped from Hungary in '69.
And so they were speaking Hungarian all the time?
Yeah.
Do you speak Hungarian?
Poorly now, but yeah,
what
at some point.
Great, tough language.
I know, it's terrible. It's very hard.
It's terrible that you let it go, though. I mean,
you think so?
Yes.
It's so fucking useless. I don't know.
Hungarians are smart people.
I know.
Ridiculous.
Not me, but the other ones. Somehow it skipped over.
All 9 volumes of St. Thomas Aquinas.
I don't know them all. The Summa.
Yeah, you know 4 of them, not all 9 of them.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
No, but I did want to bring up trauma with you because I've been in therapy for like 8 years now.
Yeah.
And I always thought trauma applied to big events. Like
it can. There can be chronic trauma. I mean, having parents like that is chronically traumatic, and that's more injurious, right? Because at least with a big event, there's a chance for resiliency and repair and stuff. Yeah. But if the source of the trauma is the person that's supposed to be repairing you, you're screwed, right?
Oh, man.
Yeah. So I had that.
Yeah. Let's talk about your trauma.
I had that too. So I had a crazy mom too.
Yeah.
And
what kind of crazy?
Not that crazy, but in that flavor.
But be it borderline-y?
Mixed thing with lots of yelling and inability to be available for, you had to be a perfect extension of whatever her needs were all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so for me, the big, aside from the extreme abuse emotionally, never good for the little boys when their mom is that way.
That's a rough one.
Yeah. I'm dissociated just thinking about it. So I know.
You went there, huh?
Yes.
Yeah, I know, man.
Yeah, by dissociating, I mean like you sort of go you shut down, you go out of body. It's all this stuff.
Which, by the way, I didn't realize I had been doing that for a long time.
You don't realize it just becomes your means of regulating.
Yes.
It's just whenever you have known. That's why you couldn't track those feelings in the movies, because you're sort of disconnected from them.
Right.
And so therapy. So what I was going to say was, before I dissociated, was what I really didn't get was the rapprochement stuff, which is the refueling at mom and then going out in the world, then refueling the going and coming. No.
No, me neither, man. No.
None of that. And that's what therapy needed to be, a lot of that, and a lot of connecting to feelings, right? I'm sure you're doing the same stuff. And when you come into therapy now, how do you start your sessions?
It's all about me.
But what do you start with?
I sit down and then she's very tabula rasa with me. She does not let me.
Perfect.
She doesn't even let me. Hi, how are you? Like she's like, great, go ahead. Like, and I just ramble into whatever the fuck it is happening.
And happening, or is it all about what's happening?
Feelings.
Feelings.
I'm feeling good. This week was kind of.
That's the thing. Because before therapy, I bet it was kind of hard to do that.
Oh.
Yeah. So this is going to sound weird to normal people,
right?
But to have to go in and go, all right, what am I feeling? That's a challenge for me to right now. Okay, I'm going to figure out what I'm feeling and try to express it to you. And then they create a space where they reflect it back to you and create a safe space for amplification of it. So you have a talented therapist. That's good. They don't all do it that way.
She's brilliant.
How'd you find her?
This woman saved my life. And if I may recommend, I found her at the Wright Institute, which is here in Los Angeles. They have sliding scale therapy. It's for therapists that are in the last hours of their training. So that person that you see is supervised by the uppers, whoever. People, so your case gets looked over by several people. And then when they go off to their private practice, you can go with them.
Is that what you did?
Yes.
Yeah.
And 8 years, and this woman has just saved my life.
Good for you. Why did you go?
Well, because I was 34 or something around there, and my mother was just torturing me. I remember I got off the phone with her. This is when I was speaking to her. And I just started crying. And I had a stroke. I'm in the hospital. And then we go to the hospital and it's not a stroke. She just passed out at Lamps R Us. And
you and Tom?
Tom, yes.
So you were together then?
We were together. We just started dating.
You're lucky that you could deal with a relationship.
Well, yeah. And here's a
But you bonded around this bullshit.
Yeah.
These horrible videos.
Yeah. You know what? I'm surprised that I could have. And I was actually very lucky in love, and I always had wonderful boyfriends, and I didn't have shit dick.
Well, that's because your dad sounded like a real good guy. He did. When I've talked to you about him before, I know he's got some shortcomings, and I know he's an alcoholic and stuff.
Yeah.
But there's tons of people who are drug addicts and alcoholics that are really good people.
Yeah,
and
I think
I get the feeling he was sort of in that zone.
He's a narcissist. He's a bit narcissistic.
Like alcoholic narcissist. Though,
yeah,
right?
but not. He was never like beating the shit out of me or telling me.
And I bet he was a man.
Shit.
I bet he had feelings, and I bet he was.
Yeah. He would get broody. You know, listen to Hendrix in the dark, kind of weird shit, and I come home like, hey now, but he wouldn't terrify me or anything like that. No. Yeah. No.
So that was you had at least a decent model for attachment to a male figure.
Somewhat, yeah. And I, you know,
I'm not perfect. I mean, obviously it's Tom. I'm just saying. But it worked.
So wait, hold on. So the trauma stuff. Oh, I was going to ask you, do you think there's ever a time when are you recovered enough? Because you're talking about you're like normal people won't understand this conversation we're having. Meaning,
will or will not?
No, you said you're like people listening to this. It's going to
be hard. They have to listen carefully.
Correct. Yeah. Because we're kind of also speaking in a therapy shorthand, but a little bit. The two of us.
A little bit. I'm trying to do it though in ways that I know I've expressed it to people before that they can receive it. So.
Right. So wait, but I'm because okay. So if you've got some trauma and you're in therapy, basically your brain, the wires are crossed, so to speak.
They're not there. So what happens is a part of yourself just is like left.
Right.
And you like unwire that part, and there's a part of you going hello, but you're going I'm done with that. That part of me, that experience, I'm done with.
The negative things, you mean the hurt.
Whatever happened, the trauma, you just leave behind. Your cognitive brain goes, well, I don't think about that anymore. I don't have to deal with it anymore. But it leaves a dysregulated spot where you can't regulate your emotions, and it's this injured part that's always needing attention. And one of my little pet theories is that's where the repetition compulsion comes from. Right. So it makes you attracted to people and places that are just like the traumatizing individuals. So you end up reliving the trauma over and over again.
Right, which is why
attracted to these things. Right. Not that you want to repeat it, you're just attracted to those kinds of people.
It feels familiar. It may not feel good, but it feels familiar.
It feels familiar, but you're magically drawn to be around these people.
Well, that's what comedy is for me. That's what stand-up is. I should be specific. Trauma. It is.
So
it's literally
therapy you out of your stand-up career.
Do I what?
We're going to therapize you out of your stand-up career.
Thankfully, I can always access that fucked up part of my brain. Good thing it's always there. But it's that push-pull of the audience. Will they love me tonight? Will they hate me tonight? Will they love me? Will they hate me? Am I validated? Am I not validated? I'm a piece of shit. I'm the best.
Oh, Jesus.
No, I don't like it. It feels familiar. It doesn't feel good. But
you're attracted to it.
That's why I'm attracted.
Thus, you live in the shitty hotels in order to deal with that.
Correct.
But also, the shitty hotels confirms I'm a shitty person.
There you go. Oh, it's such a good loop. But no, now my career's in a better place. I don't stay in shitty hotels. I do stand up very differently than I did.
And we gotta get you a little bit healed before these children are reared.
Oh, let me tell you, I've already doubled up. On sessions. I am there.
And make sure they can't see these videos.
No. We're it's all in the vaults. Okay. Home life is very normal. Okay. But is there a time in therapy where the person who's in therapy, your brain isn't working right. So you go to the therapist, and now this person's going to kind of train you how to think better in a sense, try to have
I would argue that's not good therapy.
What? Well, you're also the empathy in them.
It's not training you to think. That's giving you the space to feel.
Correct.
And to connect.
Correct.
That's a very different thing.
Well, that
will sound weird to people. Yeah, and she may offer some advice and some feedback and stuff as you're talking. But as you said, for the most part, she's just sitting there listening to you.
But is there ever a time are you ever recovered enough where you don't have to do that extra step? Like, okay, the thing happens, I'm dissociating.
No, you always have the injury.
Right.
It just doesn't bother you as much.
So like what you just did when you were like, oh, I'm dissociating, and we're back. Like you just kind of go.
It doesn't bother me. What happened days in the past, I probably have a panic attack on top of it or something, or anxiety or something. Now it's like, oh, there's that old mechanism again. It's like, God damn it.
Interesting. And you feel
regulate.
You don't feel it.
Feel regulated. Not bothered by it. I though did a Rorschach test. A friend of mine had me do a Rorschach because I was fascinated by personality structure and stuff. And God damn it, on the Rorschach, all of my stuff just showed up.
Motherfucker.
Yeah, and I'm like, God, I thought I was over this stuff. It's still sitting there.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, that's just, your personality really doesn't change. Your personality is set by about the age of 5. And there's parts of it that get into the act and become problematic, or they just kind of sits there and the mind is now just kind of sitting there more.
Yeah.